Hello everyone, it's GBPirate here. Today, I'm going to be delivering the results of the Co-World Builders 2024 mapping competition. I want to thank the mappers for putting in their hard work, the judges for scoring and reviewing the maps, and of course the donors for donating to the prize pool and getting us up to $350. Now, before getting into the results, my assistant Piper and I are going to be going over each map briefly and quickly talking about the scoring system. The 8 maps are Ansaldo Genova, Colonia Rurale, 2 vs 2 Colonia Rurale, Rapida River Valley, Santuario, Sanzavor, Nettuno Landing, and Alam El Halfa. So the way the scoring works in this competition is that each judge selects the categories they want to, and the categories are based on player count, player size, and then they're given this rubric and asked to score each map using a form. And essentially the maps are scored by kind of picking a category here, low, passable, or high, and then kind of considering these factors and then awarding the number of points they think is appropriate for the category. So if you want to get a map a low score for the base sector, you'd select the low score and give them 0, 1, or 2 points. So what this does in effect is that each map is essentially given a percent from each judge. So we had the bias towards gameplay. It's a 60-40 split with up to 102 points if the map has water, just 100 points if the map doesn't have water. In this system, because it is essentially giving a grade or a percent to each map, I wanted it to be fair to both the judges but also to each map category. So for the judges, if they're only interested in 1 vs 1 and 2 vs 2 maps, I didn't want to have them worrying about scoring team game maps. But I also didn't want to have a simple kind of ranking system. Oh, what's the best map? What's the first place, the second place, the third place map? And this system really allows kind of the players, the judges at their most expert, most experienced level to grade the maps that they're most comfortable grading. So essentially this comes down to a system where the judges aren't required to overly commit themselves, and they're also able to work on maps that they feel most comfortable with. And essentially what I'm doing here with the numbers is I'm adding up all of the points that any map received and dividing it by the potential number of points it could have received based on the number of judges that ranked each map. So we're not like saying, oh, well, there's 20 judges in total, so we're going to pretend that all maps can earn up to whatever 20 times 102 is. We're adding that potential received is just the number of judges that actually ended up voting. Because I had some people drop out, they were sick. Some people just didn't have the time, so it's all right, no worries there. But I think overall, this system definitely could use some refining. It could be a bit maybe less complicated. Maybe there are some things I didn't really include in the rubric, but I did try to keep things a bit flexible for the mappers and also kind of included the same things in different categories. So for example, water is its own art category, but it's also its own gameplay category because, although this might have been changed in a recent patch, I'm not 100% sure, but water definitely was giving a negative cover bonus, it just wasn't indicated in the UI, so I also had water in the cover section of the rubric. With all that being said, I think we can get on now to the results, and let's see what maps placed in the top 3, which are the top 3 maps are the ones that will get any prizes here. But I also wanted to just start from the bottom and give each map and mapper their little moment in the spotlight, so to speak. So without further ado, let's check out the scores. Coming in at 8th place is the 4v4 map Nettuno Landing with 48.28%. So Nettuno is by Von Smedman, and I know he's a longtime community member. He's made some maps for Co3 already, and his most recent maps are El Alamein and Apennine Highlands. And I just want to commend Von Sedman here, because a lot of time he could have spent putting into this map, he actually had to redo his efforts. So there were a lot of crash reports early on, I think sometime in January, maybe December, and he had to basically remake the map from scratch. Now, of course, this takes less time than building it for the first time yourself, but it's still a lot of hours. But yeah, I just want to commend him for his efforts there. And like I said, we can already see improvements in his subsequent projects, like El Alamein and Apennine Highlands. Coming in at 7th with 54.74% is the 2v2 Rapido River Valley. Now this map by Shadow Freak definitely has some issues, but I think already some of the issues in this map have been rectified in maps that Shadow Freak has published since the competition started. He's definitely been doing a great job of really pushing the limits of map making in Company of Heroes 3. He's been using playbills to make kind of these single player and PvE missions, where you have certain tasks and objectives and all sorts of crazy things happen. Wave defense. It's really been a treat to see Shadow really push the bounds of what mapping can be like in CoH 3. Be on the lookout for more of Shadow Freak's maps, and not even just maps. I mean, they're actual missions. They're actual, 1-2 hour slogs sometimes. It's just free content, right? If you own the game, you just click download or subscribe on the workshop and you can play it. Shadow, I know he's going to put out good work in the future. I know he's learned a lot from this competition, and I'm really looking forward to see what comes next. In 6th place, with 70.83%, is the 1v1 Ansaldo Genova. Ansaldo Genova by Bakla is inspired by CoH1 Stursdorf. I think the layout, there's been a lot of changes. I know pro players, or not pro, but top players from CoH1, they really lament that Stursdorf's main issues were its really non-competitive territory layout. And I think the fundamental issue with this map are kind of the asymmetrical issues. But I don't think the map is that bad. It's gone through a lot of changes, a lot of consideration of covers and sight blockers and shot blockers. So I'm really excited to see what Bakla has next. I'd be interested to note if Relic is interested in adding this map to the game, because I think it's definitely a worthy contender. I thought it would be definitely top 4. I'm a little surprised it placed this low. But it's been, it's come a long way from its first iteration. So I'm really happy to see how Bakla kind of changed the map. And I know his other work on the workshop has been converting other CoH1 maps like Point du Haut, which I know is very accurate French pronunciation there, and via River Valley. And those conversions have been pretty popular, I'm pretty sure. And then his latest map is a 2 versus 2 Palude Novotal, and I'm pretty sure that's an original map. But even if it's not, I mean, it's still a lot of work to create something in the CoH 3 editor, because it is all by hand. Whether it is or isn't wholly original, I mean, it looks beautiful. I know it's not in a finished state yet, but the map looks gorgeous. And I think even if Ansaldo Genova doesn't make it into the game, into CoH 3, I think it's really a testament to the effort and the work that Bakla put into the map. And we're only going to see, his own future creations get better from this experience. Be on the lookout for Bakla on the workshop. So next, coming in at 5th place, is the 2 versus 2 map, Colonia Rurale. And this map is by myself, GBPirate, and it definitely has some issues, to say the least. I don't know, there's a lot to say that's beyond the scope of the video, but I had some 100% crashes happening that prevented me from really kind of putting in the amount of time I wanted to into the map. I tried some new things with these sand dunes. The center of the map, the little village, I'm still a little unhappy with. But I think the things I learned in this map, I'm going to take to future projects. I don't know if I'll be working on the map more, or if I'll remake the map in a new version that isn't kind of bugged or corrupted, or if I'll just kind of take elements of it and put it into future projects. We'll see. And then coming in at 4th place is the 1 versus 1 version of Colonia Rurale. So I've already said it there. Just a very small difference of score, 75.16% versus 74.51. And finally, getting into the top 3, this is where, if your palms aren't already sweaty, they should be. This is where the prize money kicks in. This is where the CoH keys kick in. Coming in at 3rd place with a score of 75.6% is Sands of War, the only 3v3 entry in the competition. I was really happy to see this map by Spanky. And Spanky's been a long-time mapper. His original map, Eindhoven, I think was made for CoH actually, like 2010, maybe 2009, maybe 2011. And like Bacon said in a previous update, in a previous interview for the Coral Viper update, he said that Eindhoven was one of the most popular maps in CoH in 2v2. So if you're playing 2v2 auto match in CoH, or you're just, finding some 2v2s to play with, you're already playing one of Spanky's maps. And for me, I think Sands of War, will it make the cut into CoH? Depending on what Relic decides, of course, it's all up to them. I'm not sure. I think the pathfinding, the map flow in the top and the city portion has some issues. It does feel a lot like a 3 versus 3 version of Seuss Wetlands, because it has, in that top part, is the walled city. But it is, the rest of the map and even the city itself plays differently than Seuss Wetlands. So in the territory layout, I'm sure there's definitely differences there. But we'll really see. I think for me, the biggest issues are kind of, like I said, the flow around the city and the walls. And all of those 2-story buildings and those tall stone desert walls, they really take up a lot of your visual space. So there's this really hard border at the top of the map. And because it's a 3v3, because it's kind of a long rectangle, that really does take up a lot of your space, depending on where you are in the map, for a lot of your game, a lot of your battle. So we'll see how it goes. There are some changes I'd recommend. I'm sure Relic, they have, even if a map is near perfect, there's a few things here and there they want you to change. But besides that, I think the map is great. I was definitely thinking of it for top 4. For top 2, I think 3rd place is kind of the perfect spot. And now is the real nail biter. Who's going to take 2nd? Who's going to take 1st? With a score of 81.7%, we have Santuario. This 2v2 map by Espis was great to see. I was excited he was getting into the competition. Submitted a 4v4 map for Grey Shots competition last year, 2023, Traversée. And even though the map didn't make the top 3, it was a bit, the flow was a bit too much like a co-op map with the big riverbed in the middle. I knew that Espis, if he would enter the competition, he would definitely bring a very good map. And he did bring a very good map indeed. So Santuario, I was definitely thinking top 2. It just flows really well. It has a classic kind of CoH flow where you have a relatively open center line, and then you have kind of different pathways leading to the middle from the HQ. And it's got a great territory layout. I think there are definitely some issues here there that should be changed, should be fixed. I know one thing is that players will complain about, I can't garrison all the buildings. And that's because some of the buildings are blockers. And I think maybe communicating that to the player a little bit better would kind of improve the map's impression with players. But I think overall it's a great entry. It definitely deserved to be in one of the top 2 spots. And yeah, I'm excited to see if Relic decides to pick this up. I think they'd be foolish not to. But it also depends on, how big of a scope of changes they're asking for, and is Espis, does he have the time and the desire to kind of make changes? Hopefully, if there are any changes requested, they're not too big. But regardless, I think we're going to see Santuario in the auto match pool soon. It's definitely a great contender for it. It feels like a co-map, it plays like a co-map, and it's great. It's got flanking paths in the south. It's just beautiful as well, lots of detail in the map. It's great to play. If you haven't played it, definitely do that. And finally, of course it's obvious, the top scoring map with 83.8% is the 4 versus 4 Alam El Halfa. This map is by Schildkröte on Discord, or the Sphinx on Steam. And if you're playing 4 versus 4 automats, you're already playing one of Schildkröte's maps. They made a remake of the CoH steps, and it's great. I mean, it looks beautiful, it plays beautifully, and I can really see the influence of steps here on Alamel Alpha. Not just the obvious desert environment, but kind of the flow. And it's not to say that this plays like steps or it's like a copy, but you see the influence there, but it's different enough where it's its own map, it's its own space, it has its own distinct flow. I really like that it has 3 kind of distinct areas along the center line. So on one corner we have this village, and the spacing of things is terrific, of the buildings and the walls and the shot blockers and things. In the center we have a bunch of ruined tanks and large craters and other shell holes. Lots of heavy cover that really make the kind of negate the openness of the area at the start. The center, it's very open. The permanent cover of those tank wrecks really dictates the flow in a kind of unique way that we don't see in other maps. And then in the opposite corner, we have an airfield with there were some issues there with kind of sight blockers and things. Besides that, I mean, it's a great map, a lot of fun. It's a lot of space. So it can be long going from one side to the other, but there's been some great maps that I've played on it already with friends and I've seen on stream as well. And it's definitely deserving of the top 2 spots. First place, we're only at a 2% difference between first and second place. So I think it's nail-bitingly close. And I'm really happy for the Sphinx. This has been great competition for them. And, they have a great track record already, so I would definitely 100% be on the lookout for future things from the Sphinx, because the maps they've made so far in CoH 3, there's just something about them that's really good and players love. And so, yeah, if you're already playing 4v4, like I said, you're already on one of the Sphinx's maps. And if you haven't tried Alamel Alpha, find some friends. Even PvE against some bots, it'll be an experience. It's a great map. It's beautiful. It'll definitely leave you thirsty, because there's no water on the map. It's all blazingly hot desert. So definitely keep yourself hydrated when you're playing on this one. And that's all from me, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Just a reminder, first place prize wins $175, second place wins $105, and third place wins $70. For those mappers specifically, I'll be contacting you via DMs to set that up. And each of you also win one Steam key from Relic for Company of Heroes 3. Once again, another thank you for the donors, for the mappers, for the judges, for putting in your money, your time, your effort. It's been a great competition, a great success. I know we're a little delayed, but we've all, it's been a learning experience for all of us. If you want to support me and also need to pick up a copy of Company of Heroes 3, you can do so by following the link in the description below, and then putting in the code GBPirate CoH3 at checkout, and a certain percent of the proceeds, I believe 15% of the purchase costs of Company of Heroes 3 will go directly back to me, so you're directly supporting myself in these endeavors here on YouTube and on Discord and mapping and all that. I think that's everything. If I'm missing something, I'll put the information in the description. Once again, join the CoH 3 World Builders Discord. It's a great place, whether CoH 3, CoH 2, CoH 1, whatever. If you have mapping questions, we'll be able to help you out. And you can also get a dedicated channel for your map to post all sorts of updates, thoughts, screenshots, whatever. It's a great place to kind of put all your content in one spot and have other people interested in custom maps, either playing or kind of making them. It's a great place to put all of your content for your projects in there and have other like-minded individuals check it out. So once again, that's everything. Thank you for tuning in. Congratulations again to the top 3 placements in the mapping competition here. Sanzavor, Santuario, and Alamel Alpha. It's been a lot of fun. Been a learning lesson, a lot of lessons learned. But I don't know. I'm really proud of the maps, really proud of the work we've done here, and I think it's only going to go up from here. Thanks so much. Take care.